All right, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. Cash Color Campus Podcast, a higher level of conversation on livehip-hop-daily.tv. I have my guest in the building, Senator Fort. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate you. I've been wanting to have you as a guest for a long time, so I'm glad that we finally get a chance to have you in the building. Mm-hmm. So, for those who don't know, who is Vincent Fort, and how did he get into politics?
Well, I mean, my getting into politics is kind of a natural evolution. Mm-hmm. I tell people that I'm a politician by vote. I'm a educated by training, but I'm activist by spirit. I've always been a community organizer, trying to improve the lives and conditions of oppressed people, particularly African Americans. So, I went from activism, got training as a teacher, taught about black people, black politics at a black school, Morehouse first, then Morris Brown, and then became an elected official. And I always fought for the community. So everything that I've done, all the hats that I wear, whether it's an activist or a teacher or as an elected official, has always been about uplifting the community that I live in, that I'm a part of. So it's a natural evolution to go from activist to teacher to politician.
Yeah, I could totally see that. You also spoke about your time actually teaching at a black school, Morehouse and Morris Brown. Yeah. Morris Brown in particular, how does it feel to see Morris Brown delve into what it's delved into so far, where you went from a school, one of the few black institutions that's actually founded by black people, you know what I'm saying, turned into what it looks like right now.
It is the only school.
I got
created by black people for black people.
Let me tell you, my sister's a graduate of Morris Brown, so she constantly reminds me of that.
So I taught there for 5 years, and it's Morris Brown is very important to me for a couple of reasons. One, it is at Morris Brown when I became the best teacher that I was. I had more to offer to students at that point in my life, because I had taught for a long time, but it all kind of came together in the classroom relating to the students. So when Morris Brown fell on hard times and had to ratchet down, it was a real difficult thing. I mean, just think about an institution that people, not one generation out of but just 10 or 15 years out of slavery. An institution that was created by ex-slaves was,
kind of
brought down by, folk with, education. So it's kind of a contradiction, but it was very hurtful when Morris Brown had to ratchet down. We're hoping that I went to the Alumni Association meeting last week. 2 weeks ago, and they have a plan for getting their accreditation back. So I'm hopeful. In the interim, what we did though is when the city and Invest Atlanta try to, take over Morris Brown, we, some of us, me, Derek Bozeman, Michael Langford, graduates and former faculty at Morris Brown got together and said, no, we're not going to let you just,
stand up, man.
Take over.
We
created the hands off Morris Brown movement. And we went there because we said, you can make a deal, but it's got to be a good deal.
Yeah.
You just can't take everything. That's so we were able to give Morris Brown a better deal than they would have otherwise. But, Morris Brown's still very important. I do whatever I can, whenever I can for them. And as a matter of fact, they gave me an honorary doctorate. One of the proudest moments of my career. I got an honorary doctorate from a historically black college. That is a honor, one of the highest honors that I've ever received.
Well, I definitely wanted to applaud you again on your work with Morris Brown, definitely working at Morris Brown, and I would, I'm just glad I got a chance to talk to you about that. One other thing I want to speak to you about is how you found yourself running for the state senate seat in District 39, and what leaned you towards taking on predatory loans.
As I said before, I'm an activist teaching at a black school about black politics and how our communities have evolved over time. When you understand how our community has been affected by institutional racism, you know, then it's a real quick leap into politics. You know, understanding how the political system for 400 years has been used to oppress people of color, not just black people, but brown people, red people, Native Americans, and even poor whites. Yep. When you understand that politics has been used to exploit people, you try to say, hold it now, how can I use politics to uplift people and to make people free? And so it was a really easy jump from working in the community, teaching young black people, to going into politics, because I do my politics just a little bit different than the establishment politics.
Oh, we seen. I seen you get arrested.
Yeah, I've been arrested with Occupy.
Yeah, I seen that.
2011, arrested over at the state capitol in the governor's office when we went in there and demanded that the governor come out and expand Medicaid.
Let me tell you, I applaud that.
They took me away.
You one of the few politicians I can say has more mugshots than me. Like I know you've been arrested a whole lot.
I don't know about that. We're gonna have to do a little research. You kind of hit me on that one. But
it's all good. So yeah, so you got into. I know again, you the politics kind of found you through everything else that you were already doing. Yeah. But predatory loans was one of the things that kind of brought you into the mainstream of life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Speak to us about what made you attack predatory loans, because I can speak as a victim myself. When I say I got hooked on payday loans, bruh, the worst thing they ever gave me was a job in which I could pay this back, but I was only kind of paying it back. Like you have to go through that life to understand that you never ever get out of debt.
Payday loans, title pawn.
Oh boy!
But the worst of it is, I mean, losing your car is one thing. But you could get. On martyr, but losing your house, you know, and being homeless, and you know what we found, because we had always known about redlining. Redlining is when a certain community, what they used to do back in the day, is banks used to draw a line on the map, a red line, and they would give loans in that area on the map that was outlined in red, and those neighborhoods tended to be people of color, African Americans in particular. So in the late 80s and 90s, what they started doing is doing loans in those neighborhoods. But the loans they gave were toxic loans.
Exactly.
Loans you really didn't want. You know, so they would target African American communities, oftentimes Latino communities. They even would do predatory home mortgages on Indian reservations. You know, taking folks home. But it was targeted mainly toward African American communities. And guess who tended to be the most frequent victim? Black women, older black women. Why? Because brothers, you know, their husbands would die and leave them with the house. And so they were widowed. So I mean, I've seen every scam in the book. I've seen 104-year-old women about to be put out of their house by Chase Bank. And so predatory loan is a high interest rate loan, but also other features like prepayment penalties. If you pay it early, that's supposed to be a good thing. You pay off your loan early. No, you got to pay a fee.
Because they already target you to be somebody who's going to be a debtor. You know what I'm saying? So you can't let them down.
And so, but the interesting thing about this is that, you know, we passed the strongest anti-predatory lending law in the country. Roy Barnes and I. And the Republicans came along and undid it.
I was going to say, how did Tom Price get involved? Well, you're going to tell the story.
Well, I'm going to be real quick. I mean, but this is very important to understand. We predicted at that time that if this wasn't brought under control, it would create a financial crisis, because you can't have all those toxic loans that people can't pay out. And Wall Street was packaging those loans and selling them as a product. So what happened essentially in 2008 is a subprime predatory lending mortgages crashed and the whole economy was brought down. And so you know, that's why when people were talking to me about Bernie Sanders and Wall Street and reigning in Wall Street, they couldn't tell me anything, because I know how they put the scam together.
Look, that's a scam, like you say. It was a scam built to target on a group of people who they predicted were going to be debtors. You know what I mean? And that's the saddest part about it.
Keep this in mind, my brother. It was the greatest reverse of wealth in the history of this country since slavery. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
The banks, the mortgage companies, the ratings agencies, Moody's, Standard & Poor's, the insurance companies, real estate companies, all collaborated to extract wealth out of communities of color and transfer it from the black community to Wall Street. The greatest reverse of wealth in the history of this country. And we still have not recovered. And in the African American community, home ownership is declining, and but it was a scam on that scale. It wasn't just like, oh, a few people lost their house. No, our community. If you walk through our community right now, you see the impact of it.
Yeah,
vacant homes, foreclosures, evictions.
Yeah.
So, but I get kind of passionate when I talk about it because I know how they put the scam together.
Yeah, well. Like you say, it was one of them things that if you walk through our neighborhoods right now, you go through Mechanicsville, you go through Vine City, you're gonna see it.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna see people who are proud homeowners no longer have homes.
Yeah. But Wall Street, what Wall Street does, they stay ahead of the scale.
Yeah.
What Wall Street is doing now is financing companies to buy foreclosed properties, hold on to them, and
sell them back
with them.
Okay.
Wall Street always comes out ahead, unless it's at a certain time in history. We beat Wall Street once, and we'll beat them again. And then, I have some ideas about that when I run for mayor, but I'm not going to tell you now because I'll get it. The banks don't. No. I don't want the banks to know what I got planned for.
It's all good, man. Well, you're gonna eventually tell us something, man. I pull out the information from folks.
I'm gonna tell you.
All right, well, man. Well, speak to us about your run for mayor. Since you announced you was running for mayor, again, you've been very vocal since Senator Vincent Fort for mayor. That's how you introduce yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you are ready to be mayor, man. Talk to us about what made you want to run for mayor of Atlanta, and what makes you feel like you are the best candidate.
Well. What you should know and what your listeners should know is that Atlanta is number one in income inequality. That is, the gap between the rich and the poor is the greatest in Atlanta.
Something else very evident. Very evident.
But also, it's number one in income immobility. What do I mean by that?
Yeah.
The ability of a person to go from poverty to the middle class, lowest here in Atlanta. A child born in poverty, a child born this afternoon over at Grady Hospital, 5 minutes from here, has less chance than any place in this country of moving from the middle class poverty into the middle class. A 4% chance, a 24-1 odds against them. And so when you understand that, and then when you see the neglect our neighborhoods are undergoing, Bankhead, Simpson, Camilton Road, Cleveland Avenue, McDonough Boulevard. When you see the neglect that so many communities have undergone over the last 10 years, and and then at the same time you see that City Hall is carrying the water for billionaires and millionaires. City Hall it's the richest fella in the room that makes decisions. Regular folk in neighborhoods, get left behind.
Yeah.
That's the central reason I'm running, because, we used to at least have a administration, a city hall that at least tried to take into consideration regular folk. Maynard Jackson was a mayor who was a mayor of the common man, common people. Now we have a city hall that is, it might as well be City Hall Incorporated because because it's controlled and dominated by rich developers and businessmen. Yes, I'm very blunt.
I'm looking at you. Yeah, he gave it to us. All right, so that's tell him how you feel.
You asked the question.
Tell him how you feel.
That's why I'm running. If not for that, I might not have run. But I see so many people needing so much, and and now there are people who are running, who've been at City Hall 8, 12, 16 years, and now they're against displacement, against gentrification. They started to sound like Senator Fort. I'm serious. I listened to him because we've been campaigning since January, and when I started in January, January 10th, the first forum, I started talking about income inequality, and all of them would talk about other things, technology, and now they sound like Senator Ford. I know how Bernie Sanders felt when Hillary Clinton started talking like him.
Okay. Hey, well, say it with your chest, man.
I'm just telling you, man. It's just very interesting. I guess, what do they say? Mimicry is the greatest flattery.
Yeah, imitation is
the greatest flattery. So I should be very flattered because I hear them. And there's one candidate that talks about how Atlanta is a tale of two cities. And my point when it came around to me is, hold it, you're responsible for the creation of those two cities.
Has anybody seen the debate this past weekend? That debate, boy, I tuned in and I was looking like, it's about to be a fight up here, man. They serious, but tale of two cities and
a tale of two cities.
All this happened.
And no, let's just be real for a second. All of my opponents been at City Hall 8, 12, 16 years, like I said. Mm-hmm. If they came in here right now, they would say, I'm against displacement of people. I'm against development with displacement. We should have development without displacement.
Okay.
Well, my brother, they all had a chance to vote against displacement. When City Hall said we're going to displace 30 families in Peoplestown on the other side of the stadium, you know where Peoplestown is. Mm-hmm. 30 families got a letter from the city saying, eminent domain, you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
30 families.
Yeah.
And each and every one of the people that get on the TV at forums and debates and get in people's church pews, go to the barbershop, try to get people's votes, telling them that they're for development without displacement. Each and every one of them voted to displace those 30 families. So that's why I get real and I get passionate, because what we should stop doing, what politicians should stop doing, is telling people that I'm for you, and then they go downtown and they vote to displace our people.
Yeah.
You've got a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Darden, who live in Peoplestown on Atlanta Avenue. They bought their house 30 years ago. When they bought their house, they asked the pastor to come, and they prayed on the lawn and thanked God for the blessing of having a home. They raised their children and grandchildren in that home, my brother.
Yeah.
And now they get a letter from the city saying they got to move because they need to build a retention pond so it won't flood. The only thing is, when the lawyers did a subpoena the documents, the engineer at the city said it's not needed. It's not needed for flood retention.
Am I having a flashback? Are these the people who are literally sitting outside of Kasim's office on TV?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I remember that because I remember that. I remember that.
So Mr. and Mrs. Darden got to leave, eminent domain, eviction, and they have nowhere to go. They believed that they were going to live in that neighborhood.
House, yeah.
So that's why I get passionate when the people who are running either voted for it and the person who couldn't vote stayed silent. So I'm just, don't ask me to come on your show and not tell the truth.
I caught that one.
That is what's happening.
Yeah.
That's why people hate politics.
Yeah. Well, apparently, you know what? We're on live right now. They with you. Salute to Senator Ford for calling out Keyshia Colevados. They are all in the comments with it.
All right.
I love y'all, man. They all in the comments with it, putting names on it, man. Y'all crazy, man. Y'all crazy. But yeah, you're making a point. You know what I'm saying? Politicians often will say one thing, and then when they get in a position to make that change, they don't or can't do it. But that's something that all politicians will have to deal with. Like, how would you deal with a situation like that once you are in office, if you are in office?
This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It's in the courts now. It's being appealed. But one of the reasons I want to win so badly is when I'm mayor and I hire the city attorney, the first directive I'm going to give that city attorney, I'm going to look him in the face and tell them to withdraw the city from the case against those four families.
Well, I hope you know what, and I'll aim what you there. I am what you there.
Then we're going to build affordable housing on that block, so regular people can live in the city of Atlanta. I dream about it. I dream about it, so we can get some justice for Mr. and Mrs. Darden and the other families on that block.
Okay.
Because one of the families has a 11-year-old son, and the son said, "Mama, I grew up in this house. Why do we have to leave?"
We need a pond.
Yeah, we need a pond.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
we need a pond.
We need a pond, man.
But you know what it is.
Pond, yeah.
Where else did they build a retention pond in Atlanta?
Where else?
Old Fourth Ward. Is it any coincidence that the Old Fourth Ward is one of, if not the most gentrified neighborhood in the city, in the country? You think that's what they're gonna do, Bill? You think that retention pond in People's Town is just a way to gentrify the neighborhood and move people out?
I mean, well,
I'm asking you.
Do I believe so? Yes. I mean, I also believe that that's the point of the stadium. You know what I'm saying? Like I looked at the stadium. I'm like, when you couple what just happened with Morris Brown, and then you look at what's going on with the retirement home across the street. I'm like, so basically, you're just trying to tell everybody anywhere close around here, get ready to get gone. You know what I'm saying? Basically, get ready to get gone. How they handle that retirement home was sad. You know what I mean? Right. Like that's you don't do that to elderly people to the point where you're playing with their heat and playing with their air and I'm sitting there watching on the news like, so you're basically trying to force these people out just so you can build what? Because this team ain't even winning. You know what I'm saying? And been build what? What are you even building up for at this point? Like, it's just. I don't know.
They did lose.
Yeah, they did lose.
In that Super Bowl.
If you take a ride down there now, you see the Check Cash place now is being knocked down. They turned it into a restaurant. I'm like, so yeah, y'all basically this ain't what you used to see. Like, get ready. This ain't what you used to know of Atlanta.
North Side Drive separation from downtown is over.
Yeah,
and it's not just about building a stadium. It's about taking a community.
Well, I everybody who I bring on this show, I make sure that that's one thing we speak about. How are we going to take back control of this city and control of this culture? So it's very important that, you do get that across, because that's something that's very important and very passionate to everybody who comes by this show, that protecting the culture of Atlanta and not letting Atlanta turn into Williamsburg and not, where exactly, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to look in Brooklyn, and going to Harlem, like, what is it, Soha now? Don't let that happen.
Well, let me say this. 10 years ago, Atlanta was 20% gentrified.
Now where we at?
70% gentrified. And if we have another 4 years at the end of this mayoral term, 4 years, at that rate, we'll be 90% gentrified by 2021. The question we're going to have to ask at that point, what you want?
Yeah.
Retaining a diversity of cultures in the city. Is it going? If by 2021, is it going to be too late?
I worry about that. I was taking the train recently, and I thought to myself, at one point we might turn around and see how cool Edgewood is. It might not be that cool, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody who thought it was cool moved in, and then they said it's now too loud. So now y'all got to go. Your Edgewood might be somewhere in Clarkston soon. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about it, like, they're going to keep pushing you far out. The things that you used to love about Atlanta is going to be somewhere way else outside of Atlanta.
Yeah. And Atlanta's got such a rich culture. Yep. The music industry has made it. I've been here 40 years.
Yeah.
And the Atlanta has changed in many ways, but the Atlanta that's with the diversity of music, diversity of people, is at risk. I am not of a mind that new people should not move in the city.
Yeah. You don't believe in the memes on Instagram? Like, we full, don't move here?
Yeah, well, that's, Atlanta is, what are they predicting? Atlanta's going to triple, quadruple in size in the next 20 years.
I live next door to where the bridge collapsed. I think we might be full. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, but the question, but I do believe that people who are already here and people who are not wealthy should be able to move into Atlanta as well. Mm-hmm. And when you see the neglect of our city, whether it be Simpson or Bankhead or Campbellton Road, that's why I opened my campaign on Campbellton Road, and Westgate Shopping Plaza. You know it used to be there, don't you?
I want to say Westgate. I want to say I passed by it not too long ago.
Westgate. Who knows what nightclub was in Westgate Shopping Plaza on Campbellton Road?
Everybody looking at Maurice too. Everybody turned to Maurice. Maurice, do you know?
So y'all never heard of Mr. V's Figure 8? Mr. V's Figure 8 was a national institution.
Really?
On the Superstation Channel 17, Superstation Ted Turner.
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, man.
There are two things.
I've been down here long enough.
Two things that became national institutions because of the Superstation. The Braves became America's team.
And
Mr. V's became Black America's nightclub.
Wait, can we throw on NWA wrestling? Like, that's how I got wrestling through TV. Yeah, look, Ric Flair, man, for me.
When I came down here in 1978, Campbellton Road, Mr. V's was like,
damn, I missed that. I was born. I was just being born, dude.
See, but now you go over to Westgate Shopping Plaza. Yeah. It's a ghost town, and that is. It just shows the decline of what used to be strong black neighborhoods. Yep. City Hall has lost its way. That's what I've been saying. Sure enough, City Hall has lost its way.
Well, City Hall's had some assistance. Like, in what hand? I mean, how heavy of a hand has Kasim Reed had in all this change that you are definitely against?
Well, what has happened over the last 8 years, is City Hall's authority has been used to undermine neighborhoods, undermine communities. Invest Atlanta, isn't doing deals on affordable housing in Southwest, or it is doing mega projects. It's doing stadiums. It's doing high-rise luxury condos. From what I understand, and you're going to get some breaking news right now.
Okay.
For what I understand, City Hall is planning on helping a rich developer do a high-rise condo on the Beltline property in Piedmont Park. They keeping that one kind of quiet until after the election. You know what I'm saying?
We already got enough condos on that block. I'm saying we got enough, man. Like, we don't need no more condos.
Yeah. So in any event, man, that's what City Hall has done. They have focused on downtown and rich developers as opposed to the people who really need help. The Beltline. Yeah. The Beltline. 12 years ago, I went to a town hall meeting in Southwest Atlanta, and it was a town hall meeting on the Beltline. I said, the Beltline's going to be an engine for gentrification. Why did I say that? They almost ran me out. They almost ran me up Metropolitan Parkway. And guess what? 12 years later, it's an engine for gentrification.
And I hate to say that, but you do see a lot. Like I say, if you live on Piedmont and you see what I'm seeing every single day, there's like a new condo coming up every second. And I don't even know how they're filling all
cranes.
Yeah, every second. Every second we get a new one.
So the Invest Atlanta, the Beltline, City Hall, doing mega deals, which is fine, but you got to have balance.
True.
And that balance has been obliterated down at City Hall.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm running for mayor.
Yeah, and again, well, I mean, maybe you don't want to speak on it, but I do ask, what hand does Kasim Reed play in this? You know what I mean? Like, you can't...
I mean, if you're, it's his administration that has done this.
Yeah.
The question is, has City Hall done so much damage to the community that it's irreparable?
I don't believe it's irreparable. Like, you look through the West Side right now. You look through, like, I look at the West Side. The West Side is full of is
English Avenue, Vine City.
Look,
That's a displacement free zone. Did you know that?
is it? You said it's displacement free.
That's what it's a That's what I was told. It's a displacement free zone.
Now, by displacement free zone, what does that mean?
I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm like, what is that?
Allegedly, they go to do stuff so so people won't get displaced.
Oh, that's a good thing.
It was authored by someone who displaced 30 families in people's town.
This guy.
What?
But I feel you. He said this is the person who gave you the guarantee.
Yes.
I feel you. You are funny, man. I didn't expect to get the funny side of Vincent Fort today.
Hey, man, I don't. It's it is just ironic.
Yeah,
that people. That's why I say, you be very careful about politicians, because they will say and do anything to get elected.
Okay.
And that's you can't believe what they say.
No, you got to watch what people do. I truly believe in that myself.
Williams said, "I hear so much of what you say, but I see so little of what you do."
Hey, well, that's the thing that you could actually cast out on a lot of people who are running for office, man. So this past weekend, I did see a debate. I saw a debate with that included yourself and every other candidate. You know what I mean? It was a great conversation for a little while, and then it turned into something else. It got extremely personal, man, and it was looking like how somebody mentioned on IG. Is there a schism or something between you and Keyshia Colevados? Like,
no. My problem with anyone is on a policy level.
Okay.
And how you treat the people who you represent.
Yeah.
That, I was commenting on a policy, the need for an inspector general at City Hall to stop the theft and corruption at City Hall.
Yeah.
Then she attacked me personally.
Yeah.
And then all I did was inform her that people don't like hypocrisy. People who live in glass houses should not throw stone.
Yeah, it was a pretty good about 5 minutes, man. It was pretty good. Yeah, pretty good TV for a good second, man.
I think that the politics of personal destruction is not what people want. What people want is, are you going to help the communities I live in and the families? So she went personal, and she was called out for the hypocrisy that she exhibited.
Yeah, it was funny though. It was definitely funny.
It was a Johnny Cochran moment.
It was, bro. Yo, if you'd have seen, I wish we could run that back. Because I turned in right at that moment, and I was looking like, what the hell just happened right there? It turned into something so simple, into now we are having personal conversation, like you said.
I'm talking about policy. And
turned into personal.
I was offended.
Hey, well,
I was very deeply offended.
Hey, you held your own very well, especially during the time, man. Like I say, you have a mayoral forum like every other day.
Yeah, there are too many. It's just
Yeah,
we've had about 50, 55.
I swear, like
since January,
bro. Like every time I turn around, you're having a forum like here, there, and everywhere. They haven't let me moderate one yet. I'm like, I have enough.
I think they should. Why don't you have one here?
Why
could. Don't you invite all the candidates?
Hey, you know what? Look, I've had Kwanzaa, I have you. I don't think Keyshia would come. Caesar Mitchell's supposed to come. I would love to have y'all come down.
Have you talked about decrim in the city?
Oh, we're about to talk about it with you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's about to be my next question.
All right.
How when I first heard your name, the very next thing I heard was decriminalization. So when I first heard you say that you was running for mayor, that was one of your things that you was running on. So I was like, that's a dope point. That's what we talk about down here. I love to talk to them about that. How did you come to the point where decriminalization was going to be part of your campaign and just basically part of what you were running on since you threw your hat in the ring?
I realized that marijuana arrests were in effect not a gateway drug, but it was a gateway to mass incarceration.
Definitely.
Of African Americans. I talked to a police officer. This is a police officer. He said, Senator Fort, they don't profile folks, stop them and call the drug dogs a buckhead. They do it in Southwest Atlanta. This is a police officer. I said, oh, is that right? He said, yeah, that's what. And so I realized that this was a gateway to mass incarceration, that the rest of African Americans, particularly African American males, young African American males, 93% of all arrests in Fulton County.
Yeah, I was about to say, here.
Of marijuana arrests
are
black people. The greatest racial disparity in America. ACLU did a study in 2014 and 2015 showing that 93% of all arrests for marijuana were African Americans in Fulton County. So it is not a issue just of whether people gonna be able to smoke or not smoke. It's an issue of mass incarceration.
Yeah.
And the use of marijuana laws to take out of and it also has something to do with private probation.
You just got some applause over there.
That is to say that for every arrest, if you can put them on private probation companies make money. That has been little discussed in all of this situation. And I fought the private probation companies at the state capitol. Because it's really essentially a kind of slavery.
Yeah, I mean, outsourcing of slavery too.
Yeah, slavery is outsourcing.
Yeah.
So that's why I came out for decriminalization. But it's very important, though, that we understand who is responsible for decriminalizing passing in the city of Atlanta, the decriminalizing ordinance.
Okay.
It should not be. It's not politicians. It's community folk.
Yes.
SNAPCO, the Racial Action Justice Center, if not for the community organizers, I mean, the politicians are going to take credit, but it's the community groups that were out there all the time.
Yeah.
And because the decrim ordinance was introduced in the spring of last year.
I was there.
And
I was there for that.
Then it stalled.
Yep.
You know why it stalled?
I thought it stalled when I was sitting there. I thought it stalled because they didn't want to do it. I was like, I saw them as they said they needed more information. I'm like, oh, so y'all just ain't got the heart to do this right now.
Well, let me give you the background.
Okay. That's what
we're here for. The background
is
that the business community met with the author and told him to leave it alone. They met with the author and told him, this isn't good for the city. We don't want you to do marijuana decrim. So look at Atlanta Progressive News. Yeah, you'll see in there. Don't believe me. It's documented. So So the author said, "Cool, we won't do it." The author even canceled 2 work sessions on the ordinance. Just canceled them. Okay. And the activist community was very upset about it. So one major thing happened in January of this year. A brother named DeAndre Phillips was sitting in his car near a police facility, and the police smelled marijuana. And whatever happened, he ended up shot dead by the police. Dead, yes. And the activist community said, man, he might be alive if we had a decrim ordinance. And so a young man shouldn't have to die in order for politicians to wake up. That's what I'm saying. Okay. No, I agree with you. Therefore, and by that time I had started pushing it. I'm not going to take credit for it, although I was with the community all the way. And so but I'm glad. I have no pride of authorship. I'm glad, because if it hadn't gotten done, 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was going to get done when I become mayor. Yeah, well, I'm glad it did become 3 weeks ago. It did come to fruition. And I wondered how you felt about when you did see it. Like I'm glad you just said now it wasn't a big deal about authorship, but it was something that I heard you speak about many times. You know. Well, one of the issues is how many brothers might not be in the criminal justice system if it had passed in April or May, as opposed to April or May of last year, as opposed to a year and a half later in October of 2017. So, but that we'll never know. But decriminalization, very important, making it into a non-arrestable offense, getting a citation, and going from there. I'm very proud of Atlanta.
Yeah, I was too. I'm very proud of them making that step, because I feel like when we discuss cannabis, again, I'm a supporter of it. I'm not a supporter of people making money off it. I don't think it's one of them things. But one thing I think people need to recognize is, and it was brought up in city council, that this is not so much about people being able to consume cannabis. It's more about people not going to jail. You know what I mean? And I'm very tired of seeing people. The easiest thing for a cop to do is say, I smell marijuana, or I sense that you had
profiling.
Yeah,
it's profiling.
I can tell you about several times I got stopped by a cop when I had a cigarette in my hand, but you know what? It looked like a joint, so it was enough for me to stop you now and have a whole conversation, pat you down, see if you have anything on you, and then decide if we want you to go. So I'm with that. You know what I'm saying? If we could take at least that one step out the process, then I'm all with that.
Yeah.
So again, applause for you, at least, for bringing that conversation up. I know you were part of that conversation, so I definitely want to speak to you about that.
But I'm just, like I said, I'm just really proud of Atlanta. I'm proud of the civil rights. I mean, the community organizations like SNAPCO and Racial Actors Justice Center for making it happen. It would not have happened without them.
Do you feel like we're going to see do you feel like we're going to see a time soon that the state decriminalizes and we start looking towards recreational?
I co-authored a bill this past legislative session to defelonize marijuana.
Okay.
Because on the state level, marijuana possession is a felony.
Yeah.
And so it's going to, now that would be a big step.
Yes, that'd be a major step.
And so, I mean, will we ever see, your question was whether will we ever see it
on a state level be decriminalized and possibly open up a door for recreational?
It's going to be a long fight to get to that point.
Okay.
You know, I mean, we are in a position now where we have medical marijuana, but you can't
have a plant. You got the oils.
Yeah, you can't grow it.
No.
For medicinal purposes. So the distribution and the cultivation of it is prohibited still in Atlanta. I mean, it's going to be incremental. We're going to have to go step by step on the state level. Once we get to the cultivation and the distribution for medical marijuana, that the next step may be defelonization, and then after that. So it's going. You know, I don't know if I'll be around when that happens. You will be, but I probably won't be.
Well, brother, you know what? We are in a couple of weeks. We're gonna have to make a decision about a mayor. I want you to give, before you leave out of here, I want you to give one last pitch as to why you are that person we should be voting for.
Well, because, you know, while everyone who is running is saying that they believe in a progressive agenda. You know, there's no reason by their actions to believe them. I mean, as I said earlier, they say they're for this development without displacement, but they vote to displace people. They say they're for affordable housing, but they allow the Beltline to renege on its commitment. I mean, one person even said, I authored the Beltline bill 12 years ago, and now we're going to make sure that they build the affordable housing they promised. I said, hold it. What did you do for the 12 years in the meantime? I mean, you know, I know people are kind of confused, you know, and I've heard people say, well, we're just confused. There's so many. But it's not confusing if you listen to what they say and then understand what they've done or not done. We should have 5,000 more affordable units. We're losing affordable housing at the rate of 5% a year. Okay, so over 10 years, that's half your housing stock of affordable housing is gone. And then they allowed the Beltline not to build the affordable housing that they committed to, and they want you to vote for them. That would be lunacy. That would be crazy to vote for someone who says, I'm going to implement displacement-free zones, and they voted to move an elderly couple out. So, you know, and it's not just that they're at a deficit. I have something to offer.
Yeah.
When when they were allowing the displacement of people from our communities, I was fighting to make sure that banks weren't stealing people's homes. I want people to go to vincentfort.com. Mm-hmm. We have several videos there. One video is called Bridget Walker's Story.
Okay. Bridget
Walker was an Iraqi veteran who was told by Chase she had to get away from that house. And I'm not going to, people can go on vincentfort.com, click on Bridget Walker's Story, and you'll see what I've done. I'm not just talking about it, but I've saved dozens of people from getting evicted. Negotiating with the bank, sometimes protesting at the bank, But so on the one hand, you have people that allow displacement, look the other way when the Beltline is displacing people. And on the other hand, you have a senator who stopped people from getting their houses stolen. I mean, you have to this is politicians, my brother, every 2 and 4 years, politicians will tell you this is the most important election of our lifetime.
Yes, they do.
This is different. I believe it is. Because if we make the wrong decision and you have business as usual, go along to get along for another 4 years at City Hall, brother, Atlanta is not going to be the city that you know. It's going to be a different city, fundamentally different city. This ought to be a city that works for everybody, that everybody can, achieve their bit of the American dream. And it is becoming increasingly less so. That's why I'm running for mayor. That's why I'm different from the other folk. That's why I'm going to win on November 7th. And you are invited to come to the inaugural party. Everybody can come. We're going to have a good time.
I appreciate it.
We're going to have a good time on inauguration night.
Yeah.
We're going to party and have a good time. And then we're going to get around to changing this city and making it work for everybody. What you think about that?
Hey, I think that sounds great, man.
But you got an open invitation, brother.
I appreciate you coming through tonight, man. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Cash Color Cannabis Podcast, a high level of conversation. Next Tuesday, I got my man King Pop coming through. We're going to talk about this little event we doing, you know what I'm saying? Plus, I want to talk to him about how he got into design and all that, and the rap snacks and a whole bunch of other stuff. So tune in, get the Live Hip Hop Daily app, watch us on livehiphopdaily.tv. As always, you can listen to past episodes at soundcloud.com/cashcolorcannabis. And
can I give him my
most certainly, sir.
Media, VincentFort.com.
Yes.
VincentFort.com. We're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Fort for Atlanta, FORT at Atlanta. We've got some great video up with Killer Mike. We got the first 2 segments of 5 segments up on Barbershop Conversation I had with Killer Mike.
That's what's up, man.
We have we've got video from Bernie Sanders' rally when he came to endorse me and to rally with me. So we got a lot of great material content on our social media. But I invite people to come visit us and learn more about how we're making Atlanta a place for working people.
Well, brother, I'm thankful that you came through. I kind of wish you weren't running for mayor. I feel like there's so much more we could talk about today. But I don't. You know what? Sometimes you got to be kind of you got to kind of walk a line and know when you're a politician. But I feel like, man, I want to talk to you about Democrats and how you seem like almost the anti-Democrat. Like they probably get pissed off with you.
Oh yeah, when I supported Bernie Sanders, I was told that I had crossed the line. How dare you? You know what I told him?
What?
I said, Charles Fort Sr., my daddy died about 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he about the only one that could tell me what to do. And so I supported Bernie Sanders because he was the right person. He was a man of character and principle.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming through again. I think we're going to have you on one more time, man. We got to talk some more before all this.
Let me tell you this. This is the most fun I've had on any interview in the last 11 months.
All right, well, I'm glad we could be that space for you, man. Cash Color Cannabis, this is what we do. We make politicians comfortable. Check us out, Cash Color Cannabis Podcast, a high level of conversation on livehiphopdaily.tv. We out.
All right.
All right, we got to get some pictures, and here we go.